Imagine you're in a crisis room. One of the biggest social media companies in the world, X, what used to be Twitter. And the air is just thick, the clock is ticking, and the problem isn't just some PR nightmare. It's a huge, legally mandated cleanup. We're talking digital ethics slamming right into the laws of a major global power.
Yeah, and the scale of what we're deep diving into today is it's staggering. It's a massive precedent.
It really is. We're talking 3,500 posts blocked almost overnight.
And over 600 accounts just completely erased.
This wasn't minor maintenance. This was a digital demolition, and it was done at emergency speed in India, which is, one of the most critical digital markets on the planet.
That's exactly right. And our mission today is to really get past the headlines and dissect the precise sequence of events. It's almost like a regulatory thriller plot that led X to do this massive, swift scrub.
Okay, so what are the key things to understand?
Two things. First, how these advanced AI tools, the platform's own creations, were deliberately and dangerously misused. And second, the sheer legal firepower the Indian government brought to the table, which basically left X with no choice but to comply. Immediately.
And that's the initial shock factor, right? The thing that makes this story so compelling isn't just that there was explicit content, it's how it was made.
Exactly.
This wasn't just rogue users uploading stuff they found somewhere else. A huge chunk of this obscene imagery, we're talking fake explicit videos, nude pictures, was actually fabricated using X's own internal AI.
The very technology designed to advance the platform was weaponized against it.
Okay, let's unpack this and really set the scene for you, because this whole thing just escalated with blinding speed.
We have to go back to the start date, January 2, 2026. This is not old news. This is a very fresh legal and technical fight that came to a head in just a few days.
And that was the moment India's Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, the MeID.
Right, MeID.
That's when they officially put X on notice.
They weren't just passively watching. They had been monitoring and saw this surge in really problematic content.
So what exactly did they flag?
They identified explicit images and videos, often nude or sexually explicit, and a lot of it was specifically targeting and non-consensually depicting women.
Which suggests, organization and malicious intent, not just a few isolated incidents.
And that takes us right to the most fascinating and frankly the most technical part of this story, the AI connection.
This is way beyond a standard content moderation failure.
Oh, absolutely. The investigation found these explicit posts weren't just uploaded. The official language was that they were often cooked up using the platform's own internal AI tools.
Okay, that sounds like a contradiction. If X is fighting a war against bad content, why is its own toolkit being used as ammunition against itself?
It's the perfect definition of the AI paradox we're seeing right now. The tool in question is the chatbot Grok, which is from X's parent company, XAI.
Right.
And Grok is an interesting piece of tech. It's a large language model. It's designed to be super conversational, witty, and critically, it's optimized for rapid, real-time info synthesis using X data.
So it's an incredibly powerful generative engine.
Exactly, and that power to generate text and images so quickly is what's being exploited. Malicious actors figured out they could use Grok's generative abilities to just rapidly crank out these highly convincing, explicit fakes. Deepfakes, manipulated images, you name it, and on a massive scale. Then they just spread them instantly using fake accounts.
It's like the company built a perfect high-speed printing press.
Yeah.
Only to discover the instructions they included allow people to print counterfeit, harmful stuff at machine speed.
That's a great way to put it. The failure wasn't just that the content slipped through the filters. The platform's own technology was accelerating the creation and the spread of the worst kind of content imaginable.
And that's a fundamental governance issue that the ministry flagged immediately.
They absolutely did. They called it a serious failure in content policing, and they emphasized it was a blatant misuse of cutting-edge tech. When your own AI engine is creating explicit fakes that spread like wildfire, you don't just have a moderation problem.
You have a product design flaw.
A major one.
Yeah.
That needs to be fixed right now.
But the Indian government, they weren't about to wait for some internal technical review from X. They went straight to legal leverage. Which brings us to the confrontation. Because they didn't send a polite letter, did they?
Not at all. They issued a stern, non-negotiable notice, and they demanded a full action report within a swift 72 hours.
That 72-hour timer is just designed to create absolute urgency.
It's more than urgency. It's the threat of total legal paralysis. The government wasn't asking nicely. They warned that ignoring this could trigger massive legal repercussions.
Like what?
Well, things like losing their safe harbor protections, maybe even criminal liability for individuals of the company. They came armed with a huge legal arsenal, signaling this was not a content policy dispute. This was a matter of law and order.
I think the range of laws they cited is maybe the single most important detail in this entire deep dive. They didn't just grab one general internet violation. They brought the whole legal structure down on X.
It shows a really sophisticated regulatory strategy. First, they cited the Information Technology Act. That gives the government sweeping powers over intermediaries like X to mandate takedowns.
That's sort of the foundation,
Exactly. But then they went deeper. They went into the criminal code itself,
which is a huge
a
escalation.
massive one. They cited the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, the BNS, which is the recent huge overhaul of India's criminal law. Invoking the BNS changes this from a civil dispute into a criminal matter, and that instantly elevates the severity.
So for a company like X, the threat shifts from just fines to
Yeah.
actual corporate or personal liability.
Precisely. And then they got extremely specific about the content itself, which is where the real precedent is set.
How?
They invoked two specific laws that targeted the nature of the harm. First, the Indecent Representation of Women Prohibition Act, which is there to make sure content that demeans women gets addressed. And second, the Protection of Children from Sexual Offenses Act, POCSO.
Wow. Invoking POCSO is basically the nuclear option in digital regulation.
It really is. It immediately signals that the government views the content, even if it's AI-generated, fake, manipulated, as potentially a severe crime.
It's non-negotiable legal pressure.
Totally. When POCSO is on the table, compliance isn't optional. It's instantaneous and mandatory. It forces a platform to prioritize child safety above everything else. Above free speech claims, above speed, above everything.
So for X, this meant they had to move immediately to just eliminate the source of the problem.
And the mandate didn't just stop at blocking the content either. It was a complete institutional demand for change.
Right. They had to fix the system, not just clean up the mess.
Absolutely. The government directed X to overhaul its technical setups, its internal governance rules, and to tighten user policies across the board.
Right.
They had to prove they were proactively preventing this from happening again.
And the instruction was clear. Boot out anyone breaking the rules without hesitation and show us your new safeguards.
Yep, that was the demand.
So facing that kind of overwhelming pressure, a 72-hour timer, a multi-pronged legal attack, and the shame of having your own AI misused, how did X respond? Especially under Elon Musk, who usually favors, let's say, maximal free speech.
They moved with surprising speed and, critically, with humility.
Humility, that's not a word you often associate with these situations.
I know, but according to reliable government sources, they didn't try to fight it. They didn't invoke jurisdictional loopholes. They acknowledged some serious slip-ups in their moderation practices almost immediately.
Which is a huge admission.
It's massive. Admitting lapses is highly unusual for a major platform in a public dispute like this. It suggests the evidence of the AI misuse was just irrefutable.
Especially when it involves a flagship product like Grok. So what does that admission really tell us about their internal review?
It suggests they understood just how severe the BNS and POCSO implications were. They promised to play strictly by India's regulations from that point on.
Which meant they had to throw serious technical resources at this immediately to find and neutralize the source of all that AI-generated content.
An internal overhaul on that scale required immediate action on those 600 accounts and 3,500 posts.
And the final cleanup tally really reinforces how decisive that response was. This wasn't a symbolic gesture like deleting a few bad posts.
No, this was massive digital housekeeping, done with incredible urgency. That figure, 3,500 posts blocked and 600 accounts erased, tells you the magnitude of the hidden problem they had let fester.
And the speed of the fix once the legal hammer fell.
They had to use their tech to sweep away the junk faster than new junk could be created by that same tech.
So setting the new standard becomes essential then. It's not enough to say, we fixed it this time. What did X commit to for the future?
They vowed to enforce much stricter measures. And this really moves the goalposts for content platforms everywhere. It means their AI models now have to be fine-tuned to recognize and prevent the creation of deepfakes and explicit fakes generated by their own systems.
They're essentially declaring obscene imagery created with our tools, not on our watch.
Exactly. The commitment is to institutionalize defenses against their own generative technology. It's a huge shift.
This brings us to the really critical takeaway for you, the listener. This entire episode highlights a fundamental and increasingly difficult conflict.
Mm-hmm.
It's that essential but really complex balancing act between ensuring free expression online, which is, core to the internet's whole promise, and protecting users from genuine harm.
Especially harm like non-consensual explicit content or deepfakes. And the challenge isn't just stopping malicious users who find workarounds. It's stopping the malicious use of the most powerful tools the platform itself provides.
Right. Let's revisit that AI paradox. Tools like Grok, they're designed to be helpful, entertaining, to aggregate information.
But they are constantly being twisted.
They become these turbocharged engines for creating malicious content. So now X is caught in this technological arms race against its own technology.
The very infrastructure it built to compete is being exploited for harm. And now, that arms race is being governed by strict legal precedents in major democracies.
So X's swift commitment here, this could set a crucial benchmark for other platforms.
It has to. When a government as powerful as India's says, fix your governance and fix your AI models, or you will face criminal prosecution, and they invoke child protection laws. That message echoes across the entire digital ecosystem. From Meta to Google, everyone's listening.
And in a country like India, which is so digitally vast, we're talking hundreds of millions of people logging on every day, making sure content stays respectful isn't just a regulatory checkbox.
No, it's essential for maintaining public trust. It's about keeping the digital neighborhood safe and welcoming for this massive user base.
This action is critical because it forces platforms to admit that technological innovation, especially generative AI, comes with immediate, quantifiable, and enforceable social responsibility.
Yeah, that old ethos of move fast and break things, it just doesn't hold up anymore. Not when the things being broken are the dignity and safety of users, especially when they're targeted under specific criminal laws.
So if we just synthesize the core takeaway here, it's this. A major global platform was held legally accountable for the malicious output of its own AI, forcing immediate and extensive cleanup under the direct threat of severe legal and criminal penalties from a sovereign government.
What really stands out to me here is that this massive cleanup was regulatory-driven. It shows the immense power of comprehensive national laws, like the BNS and POCSO in the digital age.
Which raises a really important question for all of us.
It does. In a world where AI-generated content is instantaneous and is becoming functionally indistinguishable from reality, how far does the responsibility of a platform truly extend to filter its own tools?
And will the future of digital decency rely more on rapid, automated AI innovation to spot and block fakes?
Or will it ultimately depend on the strict, quick application of national law to force compliance? What innovative safeguards, beyond just blocking accounts we already know about, will this kind of severe enforcement action spark tomorrow? That is the regulatory and technical challenge we are all now watching unfold.